How you doing? Uh, Today I have a whole bunch of stuff ready, so I won't have to fumble around too much. Uh, well, we'll wait around here to see who comes, and then we'll get started. Um, Hello, hello. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? Oh, Eddie, four people get here. We can chat a bit. Uh, did you ever get a hold of Art, Eddie? Hi, Mark. Hi, Joe. Let's see. Is the sound and the movement okay? One thing I found that if I turned off my iPhone, it seemed to help a little. Not with the sound, but with the wasn't eating up any of the local bandwidth. Thanks, Mark. Okie doke. I I feel like things are getting are somewhat episodic in that in the morning and in the afternoon, sometimes there's some overlap, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. Not yet. He accepted my friend request, so I know his message was delivered. Great. Still waiting for the pictures. Oh, yeah. Okay, Mark. I got them. I did them the other day. The goats. I found out I was talking to the goats owners. He said, I haven't seen the goats out and back for a while. And she told me, she said, well, they don't like the damp area, and there's sort of like a wetland behind where we are. There's a wetland, and then there's a pond. Well, I guess the wetland part receded somewhat. And there's all this nice green grass, and so I went out there and greeted the goats, and they ignored me and went on munching their grass. So anyway, hey Oscar, how you doing? Yeah, Joseph. Yeah, I put on my Harry Winston. My Harry Winston is one of those watches I love to wear, but it gets ignored for some reason. Um, and it's just it's really a nice watch. I just don't wear it that much, and I feel that I should. I'm going to try wearing it more. Uh, Send those watches. In the HH Lounge. Okay, Mark, what watches are you talking about? Hey, Truth Fears, how's it going? What do you think of Jacob and Company? Oh man, uh, I've been. I don't know. So I don't think much of him, to tell you the truth. Some say, "Well, he went to jail." Well, that's okay. There's probably a lot of watchmakers belong in jail. One of my favorite is Jacquet. His name Jean-Marc Jacquet, something like that. Anyway, he went to jail for a pretty rough crime, and yet he made a really interesting movement. And so that's not it. It's just the fact that you make a bunch of bling jewelry and stick any kind of movement in it until something sticks. So anyway, I don't want to go on to that. It's sort of like it wasn't much of a discussion. It was more like name calling, and that's no good. Hi, how's it going, Stefan? And PSK 31 is perfectly about to tear down and restore to sew for a friend. Oh, cool, great. Um, not sure what deals. Put a note up on High Horology Lounge, Mark, and I'll think. I thought I put them all up there. I've been putting them up pretty well. Um, Mueller, uh, quite the cokehead. Yeah, that he was. Oh, Mueller was. Yeah. Oh, he was known as big crankhead back in the '80s. Yeah. Well, I guess we've all had our uh, uh, the whole deal. Okay, well, listen, let's talk about the final disassembly of our watch. We've been sort of going through it and taking everything out. Now, the last step that I talk about here, this is sort of on and off. This is the the dial is held to the movement. Uh, it's to the movement, and I want to talk about that. Last time, you remembered, we removed the last hand, and so once it was removed, we're ready for the next part. Now, this is what we have to do. See this line right here? On either end of this line, there are screws. Now, this would vary from different movements. On this particular movement, that's where they are. And what they are, they're like little cams, sort of semicircle, and you turn them one way or the other to grab on to what are called watch dial feet. And the dial feet are these two little legs that go into the holes on the other side. Okay, where is it? Here we are. Okay, right like this. Okay, here's the dial side of the movement. We haven't seen that yet because it's been covered by the dial. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not, but see that little stick there? There's a stick on either side, and they're called feet. They're dial feet. And what you do on the dial side of the watch, in other words, on the side that you can't see the balance, you put the feet into the holes, and then you tighten these screws here. Well, they're not screws; they're like little half circles, and they hang on. They secure the feet of the dial. Okay, and so now here is a really important thing that you need to know. When you take the dial off, there's going to be right here in the middle. There's going to be a little gear and with a washer on top of it, usually a gold copper colored washer. And this is what they look like. They look like this. This is a big enlargement of it. And what this is right now, hang on a second. What this is really it goes up and over the shaft that's coming out of the middle of the watch. Now the shaft that's coming out of the middle of the watch is the minute hand, and then you this goes over the minute hand. And it's a little wider than the shaft on the minute hand, and over that is where you put the hour hand. And so what you do with this is that it goes right here in the middle. You put it on top of that, and then you put the washer on top with the smiley side up, and then you put the dial over it, and then the little shaft is sticking out, and that's where you put on the hands. And so, I mean, that's it for disassembling a watch. The the easiest thing to lose in disassembly, or even when you buy a movement, what'll happen is that the movement often comes with these two little guys in a separate package or something. Boy, don't lose those. I ended up buying some extra ones because something seemed to happen to them all the time. You know, you're working on something and you accidentally turn it over and boom, and it's gone. But this is a real important part. They're much smaller, obviously, than this. One of the things I found out by taking pictures is that the number of pixels on my iPhone is high enough, and so I can really get some great enlargements that I can't really get very well using a loop. So if I want to check something out, I can go in there, take a picture with my camera, enlarge it, and it looks great. And in fact, I don't have to enlarge it because it's got enough pixels. Okay, let's see. What else is going on here, guys? Hey, Mark Nagy, how you doing? See, I have a family friend that is giving me some pocket watches to work on and play around with. He also has some repeaters that he'll give me. Oh, wow, that's nice. But I don't think I'll experiment with him. Well, when you get better, maybe. Hey, John and James, how you guys doing? Uh, so those are the thing about pocket watches and playing around with pocket watches. The parts are much bigger than they are on a lot of typical wristwatches. There's a couple things. One, even with a nice big case, sometimes you'll have this little bitty movement in it. I had a 40 millimeter El Raw, and it had about a 20 millimeter Pazoo 7001 in it. And 7001 is, a nice little movement, but doesn't belong in a 40 millimeter case. They could have, well, never mind. I don't want to get off on that. Okay, let's see what's going on. Repeaters are extremely complex. Yeah, good point. I have a friend, and this is something I've been tempted with. He bought something like 1,000 um fuzzy and chain movements, and he's got them hanging around. Ah, man, I tell you, I'm gonna see if I can buy one of those from him and put together a fuzzy and chain watch. That'd be fun. Fuzzy and chain. I think Elonga has one, and they cost a fortune. But that'd be sort of cool. There are a lot of them apparently with some of the old pocket watch movements. So anyway, hey Oscar, how's it going? iPhone outperformed traditional optic. Man, it does. Well, at least mine. Hi, Donald. Glad you made it. Fahrenheit. See, wild guess here, Bill, but a GMT just have an extra wheel then? I don't know. That's a good question. There are a lot of there's a whole lot more. I mean, like, to get together, I mean, to put together a watch with a minute hand and an hour hand, I'm pretty good at. I have a lot of difficulties with some of these small second hands, but what I like is the center second because they have a pretty big center to them, and they're big sweep hands, so you can just sort of stack on the hour hand, then stack on the minute hand, and then stack on the second hand with the center second. There's none of the these little sub dials to mess around with, and if you decide what do I need a second hand for, just leave it off and it looks fine. First watch I made. Was I got a really nice enamel dial for it, really a gorgeous watch. And after breaking only two movements, I was able to get it together. But what I had to do was that I didn't want small seconds. It wasn't that well, the dial I got simply had the center hole in it. And that was what I wanted. I didn't want the small seconds. I just wanted the hour and a minute hand, sort of a nice, cool, plain watch. And what you have to do is you have to go in and trim the stem on the second hand, otherwise the dial won't fit over it. That somebody suggested using nail clippers, and I thought, what? And it turned out to be probably a pretty good idea if you have some pretty tough nail clippers. Uh, what I would use is the ones that I use for cutting stems with. So, hey, Clyde, how you doing, man? Uh, second center seconds are slightly harder compared to seconds. Uh-oh. I thought they were easier. Well, Eddie, that yeah, it probably depends on the movement. Um, yeah, I know what you mean. Um, I don't know. I haven't tried it with a center second. It seemed like they'd have a it, the center second sweep pans are bigger, so I figured that'd be easier to work with. Hey Johnny, what's that? Let's see if you have a chance. Old airplane clocks are the same as a watch, but jumbo mechanism, ideal for teaching. Oh, ooh, I tell you, I've looked at those a lot, and they have some, instrument panel clocks on those. They have I mean, Jaja Lecoultre made them, and they have a lot of other big names like that, and they're interesting. I think they refer to them as 8-hour clocks, and you wind them up for 8 hours. And but you're right. For demonstration, but my demonstrations having springs fly around and so forth, I could give that a shot. Jib, let's see, Zenis Rattrapant near me for less than 5K. Well, that sounds interesting. Are there any retrograde movements to experiment with? Boy, that's a good question. Retrogrades, I don't. Uh, this one is a bi-retrograde, and um, I got the blueprint, I guess, for lack of a better term, for the um, for the bi-retrograde from Vitarec. It wasn't from Jean Marc; it was from one of his sons. He sent to me. Real nice guy. And I looked at the thing, and it's one of these beautifully smart, intelligent, simple ones. And so I'm looking at it. I could be looking at I don't know what. So I don't know, but Mark, that would be an interesting thing to play around with. I've got my uh, regulator movements, but they're sort of tiny movements on it. I like bigger ones. And what I did is that I got a deck of old cards featuring different aspects of Napoleon, and everything from his mistresses to his generals. It's back, oh man, back in the 70s. I was in Paris and I picked up a deck, and I thought it was really cool. And so I thought, well, this would be really neat, but I didn't want to, cut up my deck. So I went out and found one on eBay and bought it, and it's awaiting use on it. But I've got to figure out how to do the cut. Um, the regulator I bought, it was just like a real inexpensive one. I got from this outfit in LA, and it has a moon phase on it. I mean, so it's really, and it works perfectly fine. Let me see if you can see it here. This guy, yeah. Talk about. Let me see. Maybe if I took the top off, you can see it a little better. Let's see if I can do this without dropping something. Um, Down here, that little dark area, that's the moon phase. And, I can wind it up in here, put it on my time grapher, adjust it, do everything with it. And so I'm afraid to put it in a watch because it's working so well now. Let me see if you can see this working. Hang on. Um, yeah. Over there, let me see. It'll be on this side. You can see the second hand moving, and the other hand, I have no idea. It has three different date windows, and so you can set it up. You can make your dial or any way you want to. So this is something that I've been waiting to have fun with. I don't know when. I'm sort of wanting to finish up my gentleman's what is it field watch, and all I got to do is put the second hand on that. Do you have a retrograde for? Okay, let's see. In an emergency, you can use your beret as a face mask. Yeah, I could. I was in the. I went over to the store this morning when they have a special opening for those of us of a certain age, and we went in the middle of a rainstorm, and we thought that was a good idea because we figured, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning when they have these special hours, we figured no one would be there, and there wasn't. It was great. We had this whole big major supermarket all to ourselves, just with a couple other customers, but not very many, and we got everything we needed. One of the things I realized, I got a lot of stuff, and the reason I got it is that the more I got, the less I'd have to go there. Because we're all practicing social distancing, and going to the store is one place where it can be problematic. And so I think a lot of people, they're not hoarding, they just don't want to go back to the store again. It's Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I That was one of my um, things that came to mind. Uh, okay, yeah. Mark, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, let's see. Do you know the reference? I want to look it up. Okay, do you have a retrograde for straights? I'm not sure. What are you wearing? Oh, yeah, Mark. I have on my Harry Winston by retrograde movement by Gerard Perregaux, and the retrograde by Agenor, Jean-Marc uh, Viderec. Okay, let's see. Retail on the Zenithrat the Pont is 18,000. Amazing bargain. Yeah, 5,000 for that Roger Pont. Oh man, can't find it now. Okay. It took 3 hours to check out because of all of the coupons. um, okay. Uh, Clyde, where did you find the? Was it on Chrono 24, or where was it for that you found it, or was it? Uh, if it's near you, it would be in the I don't know, a dealer in Oklahoma, something like that. Eddie, where was it? Where did you find it? Art said to skip him in the rotation. Oh wow. Okay. Um, Eddie, I know someone who wanted to get into the rotation, and we didn't have him, but now we do. So I'll contact him, and he's nearby. So this is something that's good. Okay, I just found it. Eddie found it. All right. All right. What else is new? Anybody have any? What are they called? Isolation stories. I guess we almost had one. They were going. The Trump wanted to put what do they call it? Isolation or something on Connecticut and New Jersey and New York. And then he decided, well, he'll just have a travel restriction instead of something else. I don't know what he was going to do. He didn't know either, and so I thought it was sort of funny. um, the In Connecticut, they thought, for anything that makes us more exclusive, they sort of like, so they didn't mind it at all. Hey, True Junior, start practicing giving yourself a haircut. Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have that much to to cut. So, but you're right. That's something a lot of people it's very near and dear to. Either that, or check out on Amazon for those do-it-yourself haircut kits. The one my favorite is the one you use with a vacuum cleaner. I saw they had it, and you put it. I don't know. You put some kind of blade in there or something, and use the old vacuum cleaner. Hey, you look like Mo from the Three Stooges with one of those cuts. What it's Oscar. I can't go cut my hair. My stylist is not working. I already look like Ringo Starr. you know. Oh, I just bought some clippers. Yeah. I yeah, well, years ago, I had a good friend who was a she was a hairstylist, and so she'd do my haircut for me. That was, and she'd do a good job. The guy I have is a regular barber, just a regular plain barber, and I've been going to him for about 20 years now. And he retires, but he comes in twice a week. But now probably doesn't come in at all. Uh, Eddie, let me check. Okay, I got a couple. I have some other people who were interested too. Okay, need a lawnmower. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Need of a haircut before this stuff started. Oh man. Is that why a haircut may not be as important is that a lot of people aren't going to work, and that's where you really need it, unless, my wife, she's most concerned that my eyebrows are getting too long, but the rest, not that much of a problem. The dog grooming tools, yeah, that's that I don't know if you can still get dog grooming. We saw this wonderful dog the other day. We were out walking, and in fact, the neighbor who owns the goats they have a bunch of dogs, and they had this really sweet dog, and fortunately, they had a 6-foot leash, and so they're on the other end, and we're petting the dog. But man, I tell you, my wife said, "Oh, can we get that dog?" And nah, I'm not going to get a dog. Fahrenheit. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay, crappy. Cra- Crappy luxury and TGW just met for bat soup in a Chinese restaurant. What the bats were the origins of the uh, COVID-19. So that's a weird thing to have. Yeah. See, our Montreal police can give tickets to people who don't follow the 14-day quarantine. And if people are in non-essential gatherings as from today, wow, Connecticut is the we went in early, about as we were one of the first states to start practicing all of these things, and most people have done it without a problem. We had the other day we got people finding eggs for some reason was a problem around here, and so we went up the street to this little place that has them, and we had bought some there, and it just like it's one of these little uh, side of the road kind of places. Then they put their eggs out there, and they have a box, and you put the money in the box, and that's it. And but apparently they've been discovered by a lot of people who want they want eggs, and they don't want to go in a grocery store. They can't get them in a grocery store, so they come to this place and they put them out and they grab them all at once. And so they had to put up signs like, "Oh, please only take two." And when we were returning the empties the other day, the empty cartons, and they said somebody they had just put out 5 new cartons, and somebody came home, grabbed them all, threw a $20 bill on the box, and took off. That's sort of it's really funny. Here you have this place, and it's the whole thing, the egg buying, is done on the honor system, and everybody abides by it, but they don't follow the rules in terms of how many you can take. I thought that was sort of funny. The government of my city placed announcements in all of the public parks. Closed, do not go near. We are not on vacation. That's yeah, that's true. I don't know if Florida. Oh, there was something about. I guess the governor of Florida was saying he didn't like New Yorkers coming down there on vacation. I don't think the Chamber of Commerce would like to hear that ever, but it's like they say, well, if the New Yorkers go down there, they all have coronavirus, and they're going to give it to us. And so they had some kind of thing. It was going to ban them, and all kinds of crazy stuff is going on. So I don't know. Out here with the goats, it's pretty peaceful. Which watch? Okay, put to purchase next. Which are your main candidates? Okay, my candidates. The candidates are changing rapidly, and the reason why is that there are some really good buys coming up. A couple that one that I've always wanted for a long time but never could afford. It was like 27,000 or something like that. And now I found one new for 9,000. And that was the one I put up on High Horology Lounge. It was Parmigiani Fleurier. Oh, what's the name of it? Bugatti. They have a Bugatti line of one's aerial light, and it was in blue. And the one they have was in this unusual sort of a, it's a type of green. It's a lighter color green, sort of like a mint, light mint green. And it was for a special Bugatti that had that color, and it was a like they, I don't know what, they copyrighted the color and only certain people could use it. Uh, yeah, we'll all look like Tom Hanks in the Castaways. Not me. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Okay, so the plans on purchase. Let's see. The one that probably should be at the top of my list is the Jaja Lakuta True Seconds, and I'm seeing some really good buys on that one. So that one's a contender. I still like the Rolex Prince. What else? Um, I like the one of those funky ones from, what were they, from the Brazilian football team. Those have a certain appeal, but I don't know. You know, those are one I've liked for years is the Patek Philippe Gondolo. The I think it's 5124. I think that's the number on it, and that's a nice one. Um, what about you guys? Those are watches that I'd like to see. The aerial light. That's it, Eddie. Uh, what are some of the watches you guys are looking at? Oh, let's see. Just all of these public announcements are just deterrents, plain and simple, like speed limit sign. Just hope 90% obey. Can't enforce 100%. Not realistic. You know something though, uh, True Junior, is that here's the difference. It's sort of like the honor system of the eggs that we get on our street. Everybody abides by it. I mean, they don't have to. I mean, somebody could go by there and put a nickel in the box and grab a box of eggs, and they would never know. But they don't. They don't do that. And I think there's sort of an interesting kind of common problem that we have. What I was wondering is that what do criminals do? If I was a criminal, I said, how do I mug someone from 6 feet? You know, one of the things that I think it was from NYPD, they said a lot of the criminals are using those uh, the I don't know the virus protection mask, things like that. But you know, is that how do you do that? You know, I probably shouldn't wonder about those weird things, but you know, what are you doing? Let's see. Uh, oh, and a Bugatti. I tell you, you know, here's the thing though. I like Bugattis, but the ones I really like are Morgans. Love Morgans. Have for years. A Morgan three wheeler. You know, in New York, if you get a Morgan three wheeler, you have to have a motorcycle license, which I thought was sort of funny, but it's maybe I guess anything with less than four wheels is a motorcycle. Uh, okay, okay. What's the common problem in China? PKS 31. Hey Joe, Clyde's mythical Zenith Raptor Pound. I don't think it's mythical, but Clyde might be. Uh, Kind of like a boycott honor system we're ending up with. We'll start yelling at each other soon enough. Go home. Yeah, you know, this is one of the things that Rhode Island is doing. Rhode Island is if any of you are from Rhode Island, I apologize, but it's sort of like it's it's a funny place. I don't know why, but it just seems funny. Uh, all of the New England states, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and then New York, and all where everybody has all of these uh, state mandates for self quarantining, I guess, but not New Jersey. But then New Jersey, they were going to put up roadblocks or something. They weren't going to let New Yorkers in, and they were running around looking for places with New York license. So somebody goes to Rhode Island for, I don't know, they might have a summer house there or something like that, and they're looking for them, and they're going to make them quarantine for 14 days if they're from New York. Connecticut, no. I don't know why. It's it's just so many crazy things going on. It's unfortunate. Places like Singapore and Taiwan and what else? Japan and a number of other places really got together, ahead of time. We had 2 months ahead of time to prepare for this thing, and they didn't do anything. And you know, So that's I feel bad for the people, especially like in New York City. We have a daughter and a son, both who live in New York City, and so very concerned about them. Okay, let's see. New Morgan plus four just came out at the Peach. Yeah, they every one of them that's come out. Years ago, I had a chance to buy an original three wheeler for like $1,500, and I passed on it. That thing is probably invaluable now. Hey, the Crappy, what's up? I hear you went out to lunch and had bats or something. Is that true? Or was that somebody else? Let's see, two wheels in front, car, and two wheels in back, motorcycle for some places. Yeah. Um, China. What you mentioned we all have one common problem, China. I'm not sure what the thing is, PK31. This time is seriously think about a solar G-Shock. Yeah. Well, actually, you know, uh, a wind-up watch now, if we ever end up, losing batteries and things, we'll either have a something like a solar or something like that. We've got great solar. Unfortunately, it's not set up so we can use it directly. We have to ship it out to the power company, but we don't have an electric bill because everything is from solar. Let's see. Advertisers in New York Minute. Oh, okay. It was a Breitling Rattrapant. Okay. Which means it's a mystery meat movement in that Breitling. I have no. Oh, it's bad when you find TO in the store, and it feels like a great watch bargain find. Oh boy. Uh, Once the lockup is finished, there's a few watch places I want to go, but now they're all closed. Yeah. Man, I tell you, one of the nice things about living near New York City, a friend of mine and I used to go and we'd get out at Grand Central and then walk up Madison Avenue. There's one watch boutique after another, and end up at FP Journe, and then actually a block up from that is Vacheron and Constantin, then go over a block and then walk down Fifth Avenue with all these other watch stores. That you could. It's really an incredible. It was it's always a lot of fun, and there's this place that used to be on 47th Street, but I think they moved to 48th or 49th, where you can get any kind of watch part and things like finding finger cots, the right size and right everything, and tools and all of that. I always go to this one place and they moved it. And, but those things, that's, I don't know when it's going to be. By the way, too, I just signed up for the October Watch Time show in New York. They had it closed off, and I like to get the tickets to the Friday night cocktail party that they have and dinner. It's really great. And then they have, I think, I don't know what if the show is. They were talking about going from making it 2 days to 3 days. I don't know what they're going to do now. They also changed another thing we're going to is the Horological Society of New York's big annual dinner, and that was supposed to be April 1st, but they changed that to August 1st. So I just hope everything is okay by then. Otherwise, it, it's not going to be. Let's see what else is up. I meant toilet paper. Mark. That was what I figured. I was gonna get. Well, I'll get a TO. What's that? A toilet or ornament. Uh, in-house BO3 movement. Oh, okay. Yeah, they had the BO1 and 2 and 3. Yeah. Okay, well that's a pretty good buy for I don't know why. I just there's certain watch companies and it doesn't make a lot of sense who aren't honest about what's in their watches always. I won't say they're dishonest. But they're deceptive about it. That's the term that Clyde told me to use. Breitling, IWC, they don't have to do that because they have some their own movements that are really good, and there's not a problem using somebody else's movement. Just tell us about it. I won't go on that. I can't go to watch time. I'll eventually make it though. Okay. Um, yeah. Well, you're young, Eddie. You got plenty of time. Uh, it was well, maybe not. Maybe there is a. Is there? I bet. Is there a Zenith Raptor? I don't know. There might be because Zenith has so many interesting watches. A BO3. Uh, uh, if things get better, I may be able to attend one of those shows in New York City. It'll be interesting to see see New York for the first time. Let me tell you, Mark, you and your wife would have a wonderful time. I think. Plan ahead, learn all about it and everything. It'd be very cool. Uh, it exists, but not for that price. Okay. Well, listen, guys. Oh man, we went over time. Okay. Well, listen. So what we can do, I guess, uh, we can start putting a watch back together. And what I'd like to do, starting Monday, is that we'll go through all of the parts we need and all of the tools, and we can use the watch we just took apart. So you have a, we ought to have a pretty clear idea of what we need to get, and or take a watch apart. Now we have it apart, we put it back together again. Hey, Blake. Uh, oh, good. My my pleasure. Okay, guys, take care. Stay safe, and hope to see you soon. Oh, by the way, we had a new collection video today. Think you might like it.